not knowing that my husband, he's now my ex-husband, but at the time my husband and mom were actively having their affair. And I had no idea. While opening presents and I decided a month ago to share my story about their affair on.
Alright, what's up with the YouTube fam? And I'm back again with another video. Y'all excuse my voice. I'm still shaking back from this little cold I had or whatever the hell was going on not too long ago. I appreciate all of y'all for rocking with me, sending me that good old positive energy and supporting things like that. But anyways, man, let's go ahead and get straight to the subject matter at hand. So basically, long story short, it's a lady that's going viral all over the internet right now because she's telling a story about how she caught her mother messing with her husband, if I'm not mistaken. Now, I went and I found as much information on this situation as I can, and I put it all together. So we're going to go ahead and get into it and check it out and see what's going on. But I do want to say this right now, that I just want to send her some positivity and some love, because I know that this is the most ultimate betrayal. You know, the person who gave you birth and the person that you gave your heart to are messing with each other behind your back, you know. But anyway you go, man, you know, we're finna go ahead and get into this. I want to know your thoughts and opinions on this situation, and let me know, have you went through a situation like this before? Have a sibling mess with your wife or husband, and vice versa too, you know. But I just feel like this is very, very low, and it ain't what's up at all. And I feel like that, I mean, I could forgive a lot of people in a lot of situations, but damn, my mama and my spouse, like, damn, this is like my daddy and my spouse, you know. I couldn't ever get past that. I don't know, it's just how I am. I really got a hard time getting over shit when it happens, so especially when it's some stuff like this, man. But either way it go, man, I said enough. Let's go ahead and get into it and see what she got to say about the whole situation. And make sure y'all hit the like button for me too if you're rocking with the channel. Let's get back into it though.
So how did I find out that my husband was sleeping with my mom? If you are one of the millions of people that have commented this on my videos, this is the video that's going to answer
Okay,
that.
all right.
This is a really long story, so hopefully I can get all of this in one video, but if it starts to get too much, I might have to break it up into...
Shit, go ahead, do your thing. Videos. I feel you.
Okay, so first I should probably talk about some of the red flags that I saw before I actually definitively found out that the affair was happening.
Yeah, what's going on?
So one thing that kind of shifted and changed in their behavior was that when they would greet each other hello or say goodbye, instead of it being like a side, like pat, 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 like hello, goodbye, she would like wrap her arms around his neck and he would like swing her around in a circle.
Oh, they cutting up.
Say hello.
Shit.
He also started giving my mom foot rubs.
Oh, no.
In front of me. On Valentine's Day, 2 days before I found out about the affair, he brought home flowers for me and for my mom. But the biggest red flag is that on multiple occasions, with multiple witnesses, my mother and ex-husband would say...
Oh, ex-husband, she left his ass. Straight up.
You know, if Catherine and her dad ever were to tragically pass away simultaneously, we would totally end up together. So Catherine, how did you not cut ties with your mother and your husband right then and there the first time it was said? Because I'm an idiot. Because I was brainwashed my entire fucking childhood by that woman. I don't know. I'm dumb. I know. Hindsight, dude, 2020. So that's just like a handful of red flags. So why didn't I ever say anything? Why didn't I ever bring it up to my mom or my husband? Because I didn't want to believe it was happening. I didn't want to accept that the two people I trusted the most in this whole world could betray me like that. So I would make up any excuse I could for their behavior.
Yeah, I feel you. I understand. I don't, you know, shit.
I didn't want to believe it. But I finally knew I wasn't crazy when my grandmother, my mom's mother, came to me and expressed that she had a feeling something was going on between my mom and my husband.
She know her daughter.
I'm so sorry to do this, but I'm going to make a part 2. Okay, here is part 2 of how I ultimately caught my husband having an affair with my mother. Also, this comment was left by my fully biological sister that my parents conceived when they were in high school and gave up for adoption. So if you want more on the story of her and my relationship with her, let me know. So my grandmother came to me and she had expressed that she had witnessed some odd behavior between my mother and my husband. Kind of similar stuff to how I described in the last video that I had witnessed. And when she told me this, I mean, part of me was absolutely crushed. But the other part of me felt so validated to know that I wasn't crazy and that I wasn't the only one seeing these things. So I asked her, what do I do? Do I confront them? Do I ask them? Because in my head, I still didn't want to believe that something was happening. And sure, everything that was happening was insanely inappropriate, but it doesn't outright 100% prove that an affair is happening. I know, obviously it was. But I didn't have proof. And for me, it's like, I did not want to make those accusations if I didn't have cold, hard evidence. So my grandma, bless her heart, she encouraged me that the truth always comes to light, and she encouraged me to just sit and wait. And I wasn't sure if I was going to follow that advice. But turns out I didn't have to, because that night, I got proof. Okay, so it's February of 2022, and a couple months prior, my husband had been fired from his job. And so in order to pay the mortgage, he was door dashing. And anytime that he would DoorDash, he would always let me know what time frame he planned on doing that for. And if he ever planned on running later than he first initially told me, he'd let me know, hey, I'm going to work later than I thought. This was never an expectation that I asked for. It was just something that he created. So I always knew when he was working and when to expect him home so I could have dinner ready. So that night he had told me that he'd be home around 9, and when 9:30 came around and I hadn't heard from him, I reached out to him. Specifically, I FaceTimed him. So he answered, and I asked him what time he thought he would be home and if I needed to have dinner ready for him or if I could just go to bed. He had expressed that he had lost track of time and didn't realize how late it had gotten and that he would be heading home soon. He said, don't worry about dinner, I'll just hit a drive-thru on the way home. Now, as he's talking, I'm paying attention to the background. He's in his car, but he's parked. And I notice out his driver's side window, the buildings behind him. And I realize that I recognize them. But I recognize them as being in the city we live in, not the city that he says he was in. So I go, hey, I thought you said you were in this city. And he's like, oh yeah, I am. So I should be home in about 20 minutes. And I go, no, you're not. I can see that building behind you and you're in this city.
Damn fool.
And his face goes white. And so we go back and forth arguing about where he is or where he isn't. And finally, he admits that he's exactly where I said he was. And I go, why are you lying? This is so weird. Like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, I can't make out what was said, but I could hear a woman's voice. And he turns over to his passenger seat as if listening to that voice speaking. And I go, who are you with? And he says, I'm not with anyone. And I say, I just heard someone talk. Who are you with?
Turn the phone. That's what I was saying. Turn the phone.
On me. I'm so sorry. I'm going to make a part 3. I'm sorry, you guys.
Now, look, I do want to say this right here. I like when she was talking about the red flags earlier and stuff like that. I'm gonna tell y'all straight up. I don't play that shit. I don't give a damn. I know some of y'all got different relationships and y'all trust other people to a certain extent and all of that other type of stuff. But I don't trust nobody. I don't want nobody touching on my woman. I don't give a damn. Brother, sister. I don't give a damn. But brother, daddy, friend, none of that shit. Y'all keep your hands off my woman because I'm not gonna touch y'all woman. I'm not gonna feel right touching on y'all woman. You feel me? That's just how I am, you know. But let me know your thoughts and opinions on that. I don't trust shit. And then you got the nerve to be rubbing on. So, like, man, please, you rubbing on like, nah, I ain't rocking with that at all. I just that just been eating me up since she said that. Cause hell no, I'm stopping that shit immediately. I probably went over there and slapped goddamn hand. What the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? Let's get back into it, though. That just been burning me up.
I'm sorry I've taken so long to make a part 3, but I'm a single mom to twins. Like, you don't know how hard it is to try to film without making any mistakes while you have screaming, crying toddlers wondering where their mom went so I can go film a video. Like, I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry.
You good, go ahead.
Okay, but this is part 3 about how I definitively caught my husband having an affair with my mom.
Yeah.
Okay, but really quickly before I get into the story, because I feel like if I keep ignoring this, it's going to be too far gone and I'm not going to be able to say anything. I thought I was really cool and witty when I came up with my username however long ago, I am a very tenacious person, and my name is Catherine, and a nickname for Catherine is Cat. So I thought that Cat Tenacious would have been a cool username, but now everyone thinks I'm Kate Nacious, and my name's not Kate, and I've never been called Kate in my entire life. I go by Catherine. I don't even go by Cat. I just thought it'd be a cool username. So, hi, I'm Catherine. I'm not Kate. Sorry.
Okay, let's get to it.
Here we go. Here's
All
the
right.
story. Here's part 3. Okay, so I left off in the last video saying that he hung up on me when I had asked him who he was with. And as soon as he hangs up the phone, my heart is just like beating out of my chest. So I take a few minutes to literally have a panic attack and cry and process that I think I'm right. Oh my gosh, he's having an affair. Is it my mom? Is it somebody else? I'm freaking out. So I FaceTime him again, and he answers, and I again am just asking him, what is going on? Why are you lying? I know you're with somebody. I'm not stupid. And he accuses me of being crazy and not trusting him, and that he's given me no reason to not trust him, and is just gaslighting me. So then I say,
Bullshit.
Show me the passenger seat.
Facts.
And he says no, and hangs up on me again. So then I cry and I freak out even more, collect myself, and I call him again on FaceTime. And I am like, what the is happening? Like, if you're not hiding anything, why won't you just show me? If I'm crazy, then just show me and prove yourself correct.
Yeah.
And so, mind you, my crying panic attack episode lasted a few minutes before I called him again.
Fuck
This time when
that.
I'm saying all of this, he's like, okay, fine, I'll show you. Turns the camera to his passenger seat. Sure enough, it's empty. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you just expect me to believe that during that time you hung up on me, that she didn't just get out of your car and she's hiding outside right now? So he just continues to say that I'm crazy and says, I'll be home soon. I'll talk to you later. And hangs up on me.
Oh, no.
Again.
I would have been
So at
through
this
right
point,
there
I'm like
a while ago.
99% sure that it's my mom. I just have this gut feeling. I had just talked to my grandmother that morning about the situation. Like, I'm 99% sure. But I wanted to be 100% sure. So then I decided to call my little sister because she was still living at home with our parents at the time. Through my tears, I managed to get the words out that I'm trying to say. And I ask her if our mom is home. And she goes, I don't know, I'm in bed, like it's late at night, what's going on? Are you okay? Are the babies okay? And I said, I really just need you to do me a favor and find out if Mama's home. And she goes, why? What's going on?
Girl, go see what's going on. Shit.
Sister, I really need you to go find out if Mama's home. And she goes, okay, I don't want to keep this from you. Your husband came by earlier tonight and picked Mom up to take her door dashing with him, and they told me not to tell you.
What the fuck?
And that confirms that I was right, that they were together. So I'm hysterical, and I'm crying, and I'm telling my sister, they're having an affair, sister, they're having an affair. And of course she goes, what? No, they're not. They
Yes,
would
the
never
fuck
do
they-
that. Catherine, like, no, don't think that way. They love you. That's our mom. That's your husband. Like, no. It's just a misunderstanding. Because of course you don't want to believe that that's actually really happening. But I knew that I was right. Because of my little sister, I finally had my 100% guarantee. I knew they were together. So this time I called my mom. She didn't answer, so I called her again and again and again. And I called her 8 times. And when she finally answered, she goes, what, Catherine? And again, through my weeping, I just said to her, just tell me why. And she goes, why what? And I said, you know what? And I can hear my husband in the background saying, put it on speaker, put it on speaker.
They just stupid as hell.
So I hear her muffle with her phone to put it on speaker. And then she goes, tell you why I'm with your husband. And then she goes on this rant about how she had a really bad day today, and my husband had reached out to her earlier to see how she was doing, and after she told him, he went to go pick her up to get her out of the house to have some fresh air, and there's nothing wrong with that. I then
Shit.
addressed my husband because I knew I was on speakerphone. And I let him know that before he took her home, they both needed to get to our house so the three of us could have a chat. So eventually they got to the house, and when they walked in, they tried to come hug me. And I told them, do not fucking touch me. And I looked both of them dead in their eyes. And I said, are you two fucking each other?
Straight up.
Just moving a muscle in his face. My husband looks at me and says, no. And my mother says, I would never cross that boundary. But of course I knew the truth. I knew. Even without them admitting it, I knew.
They fucked it
so I ended
that
up
day.
telling my mom to get the hell out of my house.
Facts. Yeah, his ass too.
And I went to bed. I didn't sleep, but I went to bed. It was not until the next day that they finally decided to come clean and admit that they were, in fact, having an affair. Okay, you guys are going to be mad at me, but I'm going to have to make a part 4. My story is so long, you guys. Like, hours long. And I just can't fit all of that into TikTok. I can't do it. It has been a very overwhelming last few days with all of the attention I've been getting, and I'm so thankful and I'm so grateful for all of you guys for listening to my story and hearing me and validating me. But it's a lot. So it is midnight right now as I'm filming this because I really wanted to try to get this part 3 out to you guys. And I promise you I'm going to make a part 4 tomorrow, but I'm not going to promise you how long it's going to take me. But I will put out a part 4. So stay tuned. Okay, you guys, this is part 4 of how I ultimately caught my husband having an affair with my mother. So the next day I had to get out of the house and I just had to talk to somebody, anybody. And I had decided to reach out to my older sister, not the one that is adopted and not my baby sister, my older sister. I went to her house and she lives just down the street from me, and so I went to go fill her in on the previous night. During that conversation, she had revealed to me that she had witnessed some inappropriate behavior between my mother and my husband as well. On Christmas Day, just a couple months prior, the whole entire family had spent Christmas at our parents' house. And at one point during the day, when my sister had walked into the kitchen, she walked in on my mother, leaned over the counter, clothed, but with my husband's groin pressed up against her behind. But I was just barely hearing about it for the first time right then and there. Anyway, I cried with her for a couple hours before I told her I have to leave. I have to go talk to our dad now. Like, he needs to know what's going on. So I texted my dad and I told him that I needed to talk to him immediately, and he agreed to meet up with me. When we were finally together, I told him I don't know how to say this without just saying it, so that's all I can do. And I said, I believe that Mom and my husband are having an affair. And I expected him to be shocked, surprised, confused, angry, sad, something of the sort. But he wasn't. He said, you need to go talk to your husband because today he's going to tell you the truth. And I said, what does that mean? Do you know something that I don't know? And again, he said, you need to go talk to your husband because today he's going to tell you the truth. So now I'm realizing that my dad already knows. Did my mother, when she finally went home the previous night, talk to him about it? Did she talk to him about it today before I talked to him about it? Like, why is he beating around the bush and not having a fucking conversation with me about it? But I was not about to go confront my ex-husband alone without support. Because if what I thought was happening, I was going to need help. So my father, my older sister, my younger sister, and my grandmother met me at my house so that they could be with the babies while I confronted my husband. Luckily, I was smart enough to pull up my phone and hit record before our conversation began. And he admitted to the whole affair. He admitted to everything. In detail, he told me about how horrible of a wife and a mom that I was, and that he deserves better. He had no remorse. In fact, he seemed proud. And after he admitted to having an affair with my mom in my bed, he immediately began to talk about how we were going to split custody and what we were going to do with the house. And he revealed to me all the credit card debt that he had racked up that I had no idea about. He had it all planned out. Ooh, I did not think I'd start crying. I don't cry about this a lot anymore because I've had a lot of time to process it. But the last few days have been overwhelming. A lot of people have asked, how is your relationship with your mom? And not that going through this could ever be easy. Ever. But I think it'd be so different had we been estranged or didn't have a relationship. But my mom was my best friend. So anyway, after I recorded that whole conversation, I realized, that this is my life, this is happening. And I've got 2 precious babies that I need to protect from growing up in an environment that my husband and mother were going to provide. So I had texted my family that was downstairs watching the girls to get the girls and leave immediately. I don't care where you go right now, let me know where you're at, but you need to get the girls out of this house. He told me that if he couldn't stand me, he could leave, but that he was not going to leave his house, that this was his house. So I knew that I had to go because I wasn't going to argue with him. So I packed the 3 suitcases that I own with the absolute necessities that my daughters and I would need. Mind you, at this point, they were 11 months old. Eventually found out that they were at my grandma's house, who also lives just down the street. And then, like I said before, my mom moved in that same night too. So that is the story of how I caught my husband having the affair and my mom having the affair and how I found out. I promise I have been reading so many of your guys' comments and reading your questions, and I have been saving them and writing them down, and I plan to answer all your questions. So there are more videos to come on my story, but this is the final part of how they were caught. I just wanted to say thank you again to everyone who has been so kind and so supportive of me. I'm so thankful and I'm so grateful, and I'm not gonna start crying again, that's so embarrassing. But seriously, thanks. Thank you for supporting me in finally using my voice, and thank you for listening. Thank you. So
now the way that he acted is a dead giveaway. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could tell that he already knew in his mind somewhere that this was gonna come to an end, but I don't think that he thought it was gonna come to an end like that. And I feel like that, he's ready to be with the mother, in my personal opinion, or he was just done with the wife. I just feel like this situation is just crazy. It's just, it's very, very sad that the people that you really, really trust and the people that you would think at the end of the day they have your back, they're doing shit behind your back. You know what I'm saying? But I think that they just thought that she was gullible. They thought that they can keep on, tricking her. And like I always say, man, God is not going to let you keep on messing over a good spirit. Like, at some point in time, that shit going to come to an end. Because, God don't play about his people. I always say that shit. And I feel like that, she's a sweetheart. And she didn't deserve this, It's just lame and it's sad. Especially when y'all got a whole family together. It's just crazy, bro. You're already talking about custody and everything. I mean, and at the same time, he could possibly just know that she's done with him after that, because it's like crossing, like, the ultimate line. It's like no coming back from no shit like that. If you accept somebody back after they did that, you a strong ass person, I'm gonna put it like that. But yeah, man, she got a little bit more to say. I'm gonna let her continue saying what she gotta say. Let's get back into the video though.
I physically spoke with my mother was the night I caught her and my husband together. And what I'm about to show you is the only communication I have had with her since. You'll probably need to pause to read all of it. Oh, also, I haven't mentioned this in any of my previous videos, but my mother named me Hannah Catherine because you can't spell Hannah without her name. Can you say narcissist? Anyway, I've gone by my middle name Catherine since I was 11 years old, but to this day, my mother refuses to call me Catherine. I am in the process of changing it legally though. So if you have any ideas for new middle names, please let me know. My first name I'm gonna change to Catherine, and I really want my middle name to be like a word that defines who I am, but also sounds good. Something like Catherine perseveres, Catherine blooms, Catherine blossoms, something like that. So if you have any ideas, let me know below. Anyway, yeah, so that's why you'll see her referring to me as Hannah, but I don't go by that.
How did your dear father react? Well, first of all, he's not dear. He's a piece of work just like my mom. Now, in the beginning, when it was the first few days after the whole situation, maybe even the first week, he was broken. He was confused, angry, frustrated, sad, betrayed, just like me. And so for that first week, maybe even week and a half, we were each other's rock. However, when my husband dumped my mom and she went running back to him because she didn't want to be homeless and wanted somebody's money to spend because she didn't work, he took her back. So fun fact, I'm actually a pastor's daughter. Technically, he's a worship leader. But my mother's been atheist for as long as I've known. She's always been open with me about that, but not with my father or necessarily the rest of the family. Some people, yes, some people, no. But my dad always got paid to be the worship leader of whatever church we attended. And so therefore, my mom needed to make sure that we behaved accordingly so that our dad could get that paycheck. And my father was oblivious to the fact that my mom was atheist. She never told him. And it's not like she said, don't tell your dad, but it's just not something that we ever talked about. So when everything was coming to light with the whole affair and that whole situation, I told my dad that this was the case, but he took her back anyway. In his eyes, he made a vow, and it would be going against his faith to not love and accept his wife because he made a vow to her. And eventually, when my little sister continued to support me and be on my side during this whole situation, while also living with my parents that are now back living together after this whole affair, my dad decided to kick her out of the house because she supported me. He kicked her out over the phone. This was a phone call that I was present for. He doesn't know I was present for it, but it was on speaker, so I heard the whole thing. And he ripped my little sister a brand new asshole, and was just evil and nasty. And I wish I recorded it, but I didn't. But my sister had asked him at one point, why are you choosing her over us, over your kids? How can you do this? To which he responded, I made a vow to that woman when I married her. I never wanted any of you kids. I don't owe you guys shit. And ever since now, the last year and a half, almost 2 years, I'm still constantly being reached out to by family friends saying, oh, hey, just so you know, your dad talked to me today about the whole situation, and he's saying all these mean, nasty things about you and thinks that it's your fault that the affair happened because you were this and you were that. But my dad doesn't realize that these people love me and care about me, so they come to me every time that he does this. He even did it as recently as last week. I'm sure he's probably found out by now about all these videos I've been making. And so he literally went into a mutual family friend's business place a week ago with the sole purpose of talking shit about me to him. And of course, he told me about it immediately. And he hasn't talked to this guy in like almost 2 years, so it's definitely very weird. So yeah, I think my father is a doormat. I think that he kisses the ground that my mother walks on because he doesn't have a sense of self-worth or self-value, and he only finds his worth and value in how my mother tells him it is. Does that make sense? Hopefully that made sense. I just think that my dad doesn't have any balls, and when my mother left him, she took them with. Now, like I mentioned before, the affair that my mother had with my husband was not her first affair. She had many. But my father had only recently found out about these affairs about a year before the affair that she had with my husband. And he never left her during that time. Sure, they would sleep in separate beds and they weren't hardly talking, but he never left her even with all those affairs. So why would he now? Oh yeah, and last year in the summertime, this is a few months after the affair happened, I was driving on the freeway heading home from something, and mid-driving, I discovered that my father was in the car behind me with my mom. They were in the car. And I was like, oh, wow, that's uncomfortable. And he ended up going into the next lane over so that he could zoom up and then get in front of me and then slam on the brakes, causing me to slam on the brakes and nearly running me off the road. So to answer your question about how my father reacted to the affair, he reacted by being a coward. So I actually did. Last year, I had a woman come to me whom I've known for a long time, expressing her disapproval of still seeing my father on stage every Sunday, playing his guitar and singing his songs, knowing what he and his wife have done to me and our family. And so she encouraged me to reach out to the pastor of their church to explain the situation, and so I did. Specifically, I wrote him a letter, and I never heard back. And when she knew about this, that woman decided to have an in-person, face-to-face meeting with the pastor to be like, what the heck? Like, this is not okay. But it's been over a year, and he's still up on that stage, so the church didn't care.
2 years ago this month, my husband and mother started an affair that would last 4 months. And today's Christmas, and it was a good day. And it was my second Christmas without having parents or most of my siblings. And I think back to the last Christmas I shared with all of them, not knowing that my husband, he's now my ex-husband, but at the time my husband and mom were actively having their affair. And I had no idea while opening presents and I decided a month ago to share my story about their affair on TikTok, and it went so viral, and I wasn't expecting that at all. And there was just so much outpour of kindness and support and love from so many of you guys. And so many of you really stepped up and were there for me and my babies. I'm a single mom of twin 2-year-old girls. And so many of you guys helped give them a Christmas miracle today, and they had such a good day. They had such a good Christmas. And hold on. I'm just so thankful to everybody that is following me on here, whether you got something from my kids or not. I'm so thankful to you all for listening to my story and validating me. And I'm so thankful for you guys for Christmas. I just wanted to say thanks, and I hope you guys all had a great Christmas. And I want you to know that all day today I kept thinking of you guys, and I just love you guys. Thank you for being the family that I don't have. Merry Christmas.
Well, that's the end of this situation, man. And the video that y'all just seen, basically with her just crying and stuff like that. There was a more recent video. Like I said before, I tried to put together as much as I could because it was so many different parts to it. And with me trying to do reaction videos of a situation like this was very, very hard for me. But I think I put everything in order the way that it should be put in order. But overall, like I said before, this is the ultimate betrayal. There's no coming back from this. And I feel like that anybody who does somebody like this, man, is just very heartless and cold-hearted. And I feel like that, you know, well, I say heartless and cold-hearted, but y'all know what I'm saying when I say what I say. It's just a very, very, you know, despicable thing to do. You know, that's your child, somebody that you gave birth to, and you messing with their husband. I don't even want y'all. It's kind of hard for me to eat. I don't even want to say it, man. But I don't want no juices from it. You know, this is my whole kid. Like, what the fuck? No. But people, you know, they just gonna be how they gonna be. They nasty as hell, and nothing good will come to them for doing something like this, especially to a sweet person like herself, you know. But overall, man, I want to know your thoughts and opinions on this whole situation, and I will holler at y'all later on another video. All right.